Have you ever asked yourself what will happen to us after life ends, when our physical body dies? Well, of course, I cannot answer that from my personal experience. I'm still here. But I did a lot of research on this subject in the past, and I would like to share some of the things that I found with you today. Every single religion on this planet talks about the eternity of the soul, but they hardly ever agree about what will happen to us after we die. So when I started my research, I looked for materials from mediums that could channel people that have died already and could tell us what actually happened. In Brazil, we have something called the Spiritism, which is based on Allan Kardec's work. He was actually French, and on a Brazilian medium called Chico Xavier. During his life, he channeled over 400 books from the other side. His most famous book became a movie. It is called Astral City. If you can find it, I recommend you to watch. I've read some of his books and they talk about mainly 3 places that we go after we die. None of them is permanent because he talks about reincarnation. The first place is Earth itself. Some souls are not mature enough or they're not ready to move on, so they stay around. Sometimes because of attachments towards people or things like their houses, or for any other reasons that hold them here. The second place is called Umbral, which is a kind of a purgatorium where all the souls that are suffering go. They have negative entities there and they keep living their pain over and over again until they have enough and pray for help. That's when the light workers go and rescue them. The third place is called Colony, and it's a replica from Earth where you even buy houses with working hours. You study soul matters when you are there, and you work helping others before you are ready to be born again. The souls there cannot go to the higher levels, but the souls in the higher levels can come down and visit them. So that indicates there are other places to go, but the books, they don't describe them. I have to confess that I was not happy with the idea of leaving Earth and going for a similar place. I wanted to know more, so I continued to study. That's when a friend recommended me the Seth Material, channeled by Jane Roberts. His material is quite complex because he says time does not exist, so it's not linear. He describes the soul as being a multidimensional consciousness that coexists simultaneously from the lowest dimensions as we are now until the highest ones, which should be the total consciousness of all that is. What we understand as being past lives or future lives, he describes as being parallel lives, and each one of them, it is like a counterpart of the same oversoul. Another thing that Seth talks about is that your vibrations and your beliefs form your reality, which is aligned with the concept of law of attraction and manifestation. And the difference between the physical and non-physical realities is that here you have a delay because of the density, and in the other side is more instantaneous. You think, you manifest. So in short, what he is saying that will happen to us after we die will depend a lot on how much we have expanded our consciousness and the things we believe. After I read the Seth Material, I could understand better the colonies that I mentioned earlier. To me, it looks like a group of souls that felt the need to recreate a system that they were familiar with. Probably that's why it is a copy from here. Next material I found was Michael Newton. He developed a hypnosis technique called Life Between Lives, and using part of the sessions with his clients, he wrote 2 books, Journey of Souls and Destiny of Souls. On his books, he describes everything that happens from the moment you die until you enter a new body. Some of the things he talks about, the arrival and the interaction with other souls, your life review with the Council of Elders and your spirit guides, how you start to plan for a new life, how you make choices for it, how you choose a new body, and even how and when you enter that body. Even though Michael Newton's work is amazing and it can give you a lot of insights, you have to consider that he had a very logical, linear, and structured mind, and for sure that has impacted his work. Personally, I think the universe is way more complex and not linear in the way we are used to. Michael Newton says something that makes me think about another book. He says that the personality we know ourselves to be right now, it is actually a combination between the personality of the physical body and the soul. And after we die, we change. The book Urantia describes something similar. It says that the soul searches for host bodies until it manages to have a full fusion with one of them. That's the only way that the whole personality will survive the physical death. And when that happens, the soul will not look for hosts anymore and will continue the journey into other levels of existence. Urantia also says that there are 7 multi-universes rotating around an island, and this island is heaven. The book is very interesting. I recommend you to search about it. You can read it online in many languages. The website is www.urantia.org, and don't worry, every name I'm mentioning today will be written below so you can have a look at it later. The last material I'll mention today is Dolores Cannon. She developed quantum healing hypnosis technique, which is basically a past life regression. She used to say on her interviews that 90% of her clients had very boring human past lives and 10% had extraordinary ones, and she was writing only about them. She had many clients describing lives as non-humans, not only in other planets or even other galaxies, but also in other levels of existence. On her material, she's always talking to the client's higher self, and that can give you a very good idea how it is the communication when you expand to this level of consciousness. Her books don't talk much about what happens to you when you die, but they can open up your mind a lot to the idea that there are many possibilities for your soul to explore in the universe. After studying so much this subject, my final conclusion about what happens to us after we die, it will depend a lot on what we believe, our vibration, our emotions, the level of maturity and awareness of our soul, and even the way we die. I remember reading in one of the materials I have recommended today about the skepticals, the ones that believe there's nothing after you die, and it looks like they fall asleep according to what they believe until at some point they realize they still exist. So after this transition and adjustment phase that happens initially, and when you are ready to move on, then probably you'll go for your life review and start to prepare for your next experience. You have the rest of eternity and the rest of the universe to explore. So in my opinion, the idea of staying forever in the same place does not make sense at all. I hope I managed to throw some light on this subject for you today so you can have a better idea. And someday we will all figure out what will happen to us after we die. If you connect to my energy and you like my content, please consider to subscribe. That's all for today. Thank you so much for watching and see you next time.